Marjan, thank you so much. Please grab a seat. We have time to have a little chat because there's so much there that you mentioned. Can I just say, first of all, we got the memo on trainers. we know there's a lot of walking involved today, so
it's in the eye,
it's a good start.
It's a big place. Yeah.
I want to start with it being your 105th year, isn't it? Not yours, the airlines. How would you assess, we know the industry has its ups and downs, its highs and its lows. How would you assess, and how will history look back at the 2020s, do you think, in terms of what the industry is going through right now and where we are versus some of the challenges that the industry has faced before?
Well, we are still facing some difficulties, and of course the 2020s with the COVID period, it was a horrible period for the airline industry, of course. We're still recovering. A lot of a lot of employees we had to let go, and the labor market changed so much dramatically after COVID, with higher inflation in the Netherlands, and of course because of all the geopolitical issues, the supply chain, and that's why we announced a package that we really need to work on our financial stability. And we do that to keep investing in customers, to keep investing in those new airplanes. We really need to fly more cleaner and more efficient. So it's still a hard time, and it's a time where we want to become even more sustainable as well.
And the title of this session is interesting as well because it says how to run a great airline for customers, decrease your environmental footprint and accelerate digitalization.
Yeah.
And you sort of touched on this. There was a time when some of those were nice to haves. There were things that would be ambitions. Now you look at those challenges, they are three must-haves. They are three things that you have to do. And therefore, as the boss, how do you prioritize where you are going to focus resources around those three challenges?
Yeah, so first of all, we need to reduce cost because our cost levels compared to what we need to invest are too high. Yeah. We said we still and we want to invest in our customers by installing the premium comfort, by investing in fleet. We need to build on our future, and that's why we need those investments, and we need the development of, for example, e-fuel. I really believe in the future of e-fuel. If it's affordable and if it's available, that's really necessary. And then the third point, reducing cost and also from a customer point of view, you need the digitalization. You need to accelerate an automation. You need to what we do is we use AI to reduce waste on board. Sometimes it's so complex that only automation can do the work for like a crew planning system. The education of the pilots. I'm not so sure if you saw a bit of commercial I can do. Is it? You saw the stand of KLM in the beginning. I tried it this morning to fly an Airbus 321.
How did that go?
Not so well, but it's a nice experience.
Maybe not for the passengers. Fleet renewal is a really big part of that challenge, isn't it? As you said, about 6-7 billion euro on fleet renewal. And I'm interested in the motivation for this because quite clearly, passenger comfort is one of those things. But the main driver is sustainability, isn't it? It's noise, it's fuel consumption, it's emissions. That will make a significant difference. Yes. But it's a huge expense up front at a time when the industry says, look, there's not a lot of spare cash washing around. Yeah,
but it's the only way forward. So if you look still today, we have the 747 cargo flying around with 4 engines, really old airplane. We don't want to have them anymore, and we need to replace them by the Airbus 350 coming.
When do they arrive?
Hopefully 26 and start of 27, but then it immediately saves nearly 50% and 40% CO2, so it really makes a difference. And that's why the financial health of a company and the package we announced is so important to achieve, so that we proceed with all those investments.
And you are under pressure from all sides, be it on costs, be it on kind of sustainability, and always, in terms of targets, under pressure to reduce movements. So that means that actually if you put planes on with bigger capacity, that are greener, that are cleaner, that are less noisy, that helps. Talk to me about that strategy, being particularly at night, because that, I think, a 15% reduction in ambition to reduce noise and emissions, but noise at night.
It's not 50%, it's 20% in total.
So
yeah, for the 24 hours a day, it's 20% noise reduction.
And you can do that with a new fleet?
So we indicated that with our initiatives, schoner, stiller, zuiniger, more clean, more fuel efficient, we showed the Dutch government that you can reach those targets in a lot of different ways. So by new fleet first, by operational measures, dependent on the way of takeoff of landing, you can reach and reduce noise targets. So a lot of different measures can reach those targets without reduction of flight movements.
One of the issues you highlighted as well were clearly those geopolitical issues. There's a lot going on in the world right now, not only in terms of geopolitics, but then we talked about supply chain, labour market shortages, and then that need for sustainability. You're having to do this huge capital expense, this huge radical change in the organisation at a time when everything else is changing too. How do you navigate that?
I think change is part of our life. It will not go away, so we need to get used to it. We will change and need to change, and change is accelerating. With the digitalization and the automation, change will be there for always. As long as a topic in the boardroom, as long as a topic in the executive team and within the company, but it's never easy. Let's face it, people don't like change, and therefore we invest a lot in. I do on-air shows every 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 2 months, something like that. I have connect sessions, we do road shows, we have frequent meetings with the management teams. During our birthday in the morning with the board, we went through operations to discuss all the changes. So it's our responsibility to discuss this.
Yeah.
And people sometimes are afraid to lose jobs, but at the same time, it's what they say about digitalization and automation already for the last 10 years. And at the same time, we see a short labor market, and we cannot find the right people.
And one of the most kind of the clear examples of the geopolitical issues and how they affect your business, talk to me about overflying Russia.
Yeah.
It's a real problem because it means you have to go on longer routes, you have more fuel, you have fewer pilot availability. Yeah. You have to take off routes because those planes are not available. How do you tackle something like that? Quite clearly you have to, but how do you deal with it? There's
no other option. So it's part of our shortage of pilots. So that's why we need to increase our pilot capacity to fly the long-haul flights. And so we accelerated training, we doubled classes.
But you're having to do that whilst also training pilots for your new fleet?
As well. Yeah, as well. So that's really a complex topic, and at the same time we need to. So I think the main topic is how do we look at issues like this from a European level? And I think Willy will be in the room soon. I'm not so sure if he is already. But if you look at local taxes, if you look at overflying Russia, if you look at the Green Deal, is what do we face as European carriers and what do we face from carriers outside Europe, and at least organize a level playing field.
Mm-hmm. We're going to rattle through topics here because there's a lot I want to talk to you about, but you mentioned SAF as well.
Yeah.
And crucially, you said 16% of global available supply, and that's the key word, isn't it? Availability. Yeah. Where are we on the tipping point? Because for that tipping point to come, it needs to be commercially viable, it needs to be available, it needs to have the industry buying in. I know you're involved in initiatives to get that buy-in.
Yeah.
Are we any closer to that tipping point? It feels every time we have events like this, we talk about how important it is. But it's difficult, isn't it?
It is really difficult, and I think instead of talking about movements or local taxes or other initiatives, we need to focus on the availability of SAF, and also from a government point of view, and from a European point of view, and the airline point of view, and the system. We all need to work together to get this done. And
what is still the biggest hurdles?
And you see the difference in the United States, where they really encouraged to have it. There's more availability against a reasonable price.
So what should we learn from what the US is doing?
To really team up with governments and to really team up with the EU to get this done and to focus on it.
And what does that look like in practice? What are the conversations that need to happen?
Let's first start. The new government is just started in Europe as well, and hopefully it will be on the agenda. And at the end, we need to put it on the agenda.
What are the biggest hurdles? What are the sticking points around it?
Well, at the end, I think we need to develop e-fuels.
Right.
Because SAF will not be available even in the future, and we need the right SAF product. So we need to focus on the development of e-fuels, and therefore you need regulations, you need investments, you need support to support companies to start this process, and then hopefully after a couple of years it will be available against a reasonable price.
Because the reason I ask is because there's a conversation that needs to be had, isn't there, with customers, with passengers, about what they will be expected to pay towards SAF, because it can't be all lumped onto the airline. The airline is squeezed in the middle, margins are squeezed.
But it's also not only customers, individual customers, it's also corporates. Yeah. It's also the businesses around here buying a ticket, and you also need to buy SAF and support it altogether.
Is there an understanding that that will form part of a ticket price? We're in an industry right now that it feels is dominated by price.
Yeah, but the difficulty is it's about price, it's about SAF, and it's about competition. And we really need to leverage that.
And it's difficult to make that claim, though, isn't it, on SAF because of sort of greenwashing rules and things. So it's hard to communicate that to customers.
It's difficult to communicate. You need to put it in your booking system in the right way. So we are changing it, so that it's more easy from a passenger point of view to book it. We included it in our Flying Blue program, so customers can buy it with points. And we are discussing it with corporates as well.
Yeah. I'm aware time is tight, so I want to end with a thought of what this year looks like. We meet here every year, and indeed around the world. What will 25 look like for you?
Well, first we are focusing on operational and financial health to be able to have all the investments in place, and at the same time we will see a lot of new airplanes coming in. Mm-hmm. So we expect a lot of new Airbus 321 next year, and adding already value to our sustainability targets and to noise reduction. And
it'll be a nice way to start year 106, I assume. Yeah,
yes.
106 years. Lovely to talk to you.
Yes,
thank you so much. I know you're going to be around today, but ladies and gents, Marjan Rintel, Chief Executive of KLM. Thank you so much.
Thank you.